Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. Let's talk football, but first remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Also, pay close attention to the date. Again, it's July the 30th, 2019. There will be injuries and stories that develop that may impact this play. So just understand this is being made in late July based on the information available to us. In my opinion, one of the better plays on the board right now are the Denver Broncos over 7 wins on the upcoming 2019 NFL season. Again, Denver over 7 wins. Now, I know there's a hangover from last year. People remember the Denver Broncos only winning 6 games last year. People also remember Denver having 2 different 4-game losing streaks last year. But what I want people to focus on is Denver's defense. Right? On Football Outsiders right now, right? footballoutsiders.com. If you look at last year's stats, right, knowing that Denver has some great players on defense, Von Miller, for example, one of the best in the league, it might surprise you that Denver, at 6-10, had the 5th most efficient defense last year, right? 5th. Understand, only 2 teams in the entire AFC ranked higher than them. The Baltimore Ravens and, surprisingly, the Buffalo Bills. So you're talking about an elite defense, and you're also talking about a very good running back core, right? Understand, with an excellent defense and with an excellent running back core, you should already be in the mix to finish 500, right? That would be 8 wins. That would put you above the 7 threshold. Their running back core, the top 2 backs, consists of Pro Bowler Philip Lindsay. Understand what Lindsay did last year, right? Lindsay, in addition to rushing for over 1,000 yards, averaged 5.4 yards per carry. 5.4. He scored 9 touchdowns. Well, if you're a little bit worried about depth, understand they also have Royce Freeman, right? Lindsay's 25, Freeman's 23. These are young backs, right? These are backs in their prime. Royce Freeman last year averaged 4 yards a carry, scored 5 touchdowns, had over 500 rushing yards. So you have an above average rushing game, you have an above average defense. And now they've swapped out quarterbacks. Case Keenum is gone. Now you have a Super Bowl winning quarterback with a strong arm in Joe Flacco. Understand, this changes things. The deep ball is back in play. Now keep in mind, a good passing attack, in my opinion, would be gravy on the steak, because you already have an above average rushing attack and an above average defense. Right? Understand, average in the NFL is 8-8. Right? That's the definition of mediocrity. Here you have an above average rushing game, an above average defense. Now understand, suddenly, with a strong-armed quarterback in the mix, a home run hitter like Cortland Sutton, the wide receiver, a guy who averaged 16.8 yards per catch and is 6'4". Suddenly a guy like this is in play. He's going to be a factor, right? Sutton was able to stretch the field with Case Keenum. Now he has a guy with a bigger arm. And of course, when you hear a guy is 6'4", and Sutton is 23 years old, right? Those jump balls become a possibility. Those deep jump balls become a possibility. The other wide receiver, you might know him, Emmanuel Sanders. Now, I'll agree. There's uncertainty. He's coming off an Achilles injury, right? The minute they say Achilles, you know it's a problem. He's also 32 years old. But this guy is also, this guy's also a burner. And according to reports, he's ahead of schedule in terms of returning to the team. As it is, he officially is listed as questionable for week 1. I think he plays week 1. I think this wide receiving core, that Emmanuel Sanders and Courtland Sutton, have the ability to stretch the field in a way we didn't see last year. Right? Now, keep in mind, again, the over-under number is 7. Right? Vegas is telling you that chances are this team finishes 7-9. I like this wide receiving core. I like the rushing game. I like the defense. I also like the coaching staff. I'll agree. You're going to have a first-time head coach in Vic Fangio. It's always more reassuring when they hire someone like a Bill Belichick, who was coach before Vermeil, where you can look and say, oh, this guy's been a head coach. He knows how to handle authority. He's done it before. He has a track record we can check. With Vic Fangio, okay, he's new. But understand, Fangio is an NFL lifer. He's been around some great teams. He's coached under some excellent coaches. His forte is defense. Right? Think about it. Fangio is one of the better defensive coaches in the National Football League, and now they're handing him the keys to the Denver Bronco defense. Let me also say this too. I'm in the Bay Area, right? I'm a New York Giants fan living in the Bay Area. So from time to time, as you can imagine, when I go to a sports bar or when I turn on my TV, I'm watching San Francisco 49er football. Now, one of the unreported stories in football was the quarterback's coach for the San Francisco 49ers, Rich Scangarello. Understand, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. The 49ers had to go to plan B and plan C, right? Befford, CJ Befford, Brian Hoyer, Nick Mullen. None of those names are household names. It might surprise you to know that over the last 2 years, somehow the Niners, with literally a patchwork of quarterbacks, finished 10th in terms of passing yards per game. You have to go back to the Steve Young era to find a year where the 49ers passed for as many yards as they did last year. Right? A year in which, literally, the offensive coordinator had to figure out how to use guys like Nick Mullins. Pulls him off the practice squad. Nick Mullins was in there being effective. Right? Well, understand, that San Francisco 49er quarterbacks coach, the guy who pulled down an above average, think about it, an above average passing attack in the NFC West, right? Pete Carroll, defensive guy, Seahawks, pretty good defense. The Rams, they were just in the Super Bowl. right? Understand the Niners were above average in their passing game. He's now the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, right? He already has the rushing game in place, right? Lindsay, again, averaged 5.4 yards a carry last year, 5.4. If he's able, with a veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco, right? He's not dealing with the rookie. He's not dealing with Nick Mullins. Right now he has a veteran quarterback, and now he has Courtland Sutton, a guy who people involved in fantasy pools need to keep in mind as their draft goes forward, right? And Emmanuel Sanders. I think this offensive coordinator is going to get results. Let's also talk about the schedule. Now, I believe it's very important for first-time head coaches to get credibility by coming out the gate and doing well relatively early on, right? If you win those first few games, that certainly helps your cause in terms of getting credibility with your team, right? I believe the first game the Broncos play is winnable. They're on the road playing against the Oakland Raiders, right? Now, just understand, everyone in the Bay Area knows the Raiders are leaving to go to Las Vegas. You can go to Raiders.com and actually look at the current construction of the Raiders' new stadium. But that makes this year a transition year for them, doesn't it? Right? Also understand, the Raiders really are in rebuild mode, right? Sure, they've added Antonio Brown, but at the same time, Khalil Mack gone. The wide receiver gone to Dallas. I think the Raiders are vulnerable. I think the Broncos could beat the Raiders out the gate. Then they go home for week 2. Now, sure, they play an excellent Bears team, a team that's one of the few teams to rank above them defensively. But it's very hard to play in Denver, right? Very hard to play in Denver. I think Denver has a chance against the Bears week 2, right? Fast forward a little bit. Week 4, Denver's back home against the Jaguars. This is Nick Foles' first season as the quarterback for the Jaguars. They're in a little bit of transition as well. I think the Broncos conceivably could start 2-2 or 3-1 based on the schedule I'm seeing. Right? I think the Broncos, if they start 3-1, it's a foregone conclusion, in my opinion, with this defense, that they're going to finish above 7 wins on the season. As it is, according to my ratings, I view the Broncos as an above average team. And here you are getting an over-under number that would have them finishing below 500. To sum up, I like the Broncos to finish over 7 wins. I think this is a gift. I thought Vance Joseph lost the team. Understand, one of those 4-game losing streaks last year were the last 4 games of the season, where somehow the Broncos found a way to lose to both the Niners and the Oakland Raiders, right? This year, I think it's different. I think Vic Fangio is a guy who gets authority in the locker room. I think Joe Flacco is going to open up the passing game. I think the rushing game's already above average. I think the defense is top notch. I like the Broncos above 7 wins. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. Thanks for stopping by.